Where you are is in the Dwyer Center for the Study of Lepidoptera and Biodiversity. Now the unfamiliar word in there is going to be Lepidoptera, and roughly translated from its Greek roots, it means scaled wings, and that is the word that is used to describe butterflies and moths. And it's actually very fitting because what separates them from the rest of the insect world are their scales. And that's what makes up all of those colors and patterns that we see on their wings. Without the scales, they're really just kind of a clear membrane with structure like any other insect is, except these microscopic little scales are layered on each other, kind of like shingles on a roof, and they make up all these colors and patterns. They also give the wing structure, they give it support, they give it insulation, so very important. So this is my box of butterflies, and the question probably is going to be, why do I have a box of butterflies? And to answer that, you're going to have to get into the butterfly life cycle. Butterflies in here in the rainforest live about 2 to 3 weeks on average. Their life cycle begins with egg laying. You have an egg, you go into the caterpillar, and then you go into the pupa stage, also called the chrysalis, and then from the chrysalis into adulthood. Now, we are not allowed to breed our non-native species, and since we're finding about 85% non-native species,
they can't
we
breed
can't let any breeding happen in butterfly rainforest, as per the USDA. They don't want any invasive species getting out into the Florida wildlife, and because caterpillars are very small when they first hatch, visitors such as yourself can rub up against the plant and get a little baby caterpillar on your sorry, Ryan's having technical difficulties. The butterfly's not cooperating with this one. Anyway, so you could rub up against the plant, get a very small caterpillar on your clothing, and walk right outside with invasive species on your clothes and not even know it. So to keep that from happening, we don't have a specific type of plant, which are called host plants, in here for the butterflies. And each butterfly has its own host plant. For instance, a very good, usually well-known is the monarch. The monarch hosts only on milkweed. So if there's no milkweed, the monarch will not lay eggs. It's just a fact of life. Caterpillars have a very specific nutritional need, and those needs are only fulfilled by their host plant. So, what we have to do instead is have all of our butterflies shipped to us in the pupa stage, in the chrysalis, and they are shipped to us from their home countries, places including Central and South America, Malaysia, Suriname, and Kenya. So it's very diverse, and also all of these butterflies were not born here. So it's kind of interesting that these are actual, true blue, non-native species. They made the trip over. So, so once they emerge from our lab, they emerge from their chrysalis. They're kind of wet and withered looking, very pitiful, and they fill their wings up and dry them out, and then we bring them out here to live out the rest of their life. And so, all you find. So, go ahead and open up my box, see who's in here. We can have some interesting ones to talk about. And then, okay. This is one of our really interesting ones. Let's stick around. I'll let you see him like this first. This is called the gold-banded forester. And he's okay on the outside, but on the inside, he's a gator butterfly. He is orange and blue. And we try to keep as many of those as possible in the rainforest here, for obvious reasons. Alright. He's also interesting because if you look at it really close, there's people on the tree, maybe he'll stick around, you guys can get some more pictures of him. He's got little white tips on his antennae, and he's got checkerboard patterns in his eyeballs. The cool thing about butterflies is the closer you get to them, sometimes the cooler they look. My tracks just stuck around. Here we have a couple of our African, our Kenyan butterflies. This one is the white barred. This one here, my index finger. This one here is the violet spotted. These are several of our, who else in our show? These are our fastest flying butterflies. You can see that narrow kind of triangular wing shape. That denotes a fast flying butterfly. These guys here can get up to 35 miles an hour. So that's how they evade predators. Pretty flashy little butterflies too, some of my favorites. This one, people will recognize almost immediately, sometimes not from the outside, but most definitely from the inside. On the outside here, he's really dark. He's got these great eye spots, That's also a mode of predator evasion. This is kind of a predator confusing device. It can do one of two things. It can make the predator think that those eyes belong to something bigger that maybe it's not sure what to tangle with. Or it can think that maybe the thing that it's striking at is striking at its face. Usually that's what predators do. Well, butterflies can live with up to 50% of their wings gone and still fly. So having those eye spots are pretty cool because if the predator goes after a big chunk of wing, it's a lot better than getting a nice juicy piece of body.
Right.
They can't survive without it.
Right.
So, the insider, this is Gainesvillian. This is actually the blue morpho.
Yay.
And this is also one of our fruit
favorite.
beaters. You'll see we have trays of fruit scattered throughout the exhibit. You will never see a blue morpho nectaring on a flower, with one very small exception. But for the most part, they are decomposers, which means that they feed on rotting, dying, decaying things. The most pleasant of those being fruit. So that's why we have that in the exhibit. Our exception to the flower rule is kind of a funny occurrence. We have something up your exit called the tractor seat plant. Its genus is Farfugium, which I think is a much better name. Anyway, and for some strange reason we haven't figured out quite yet, our morphos like to nectar on our Farfugium flowers. So if you want to see an anomaly of nature, you can walk past it and see if you can see one nectaring on that. Okay. Get this big lady out here. This is our female golden birdwing, one of the biggest butterflies we display in here. And birdwings are amongst the biggest in the world. In fact, the biggest butterfly species in the world is called the Queen Alexandra's birdwing. And they have an 11.5-inch wingspan, so up to a foot across, almost a foot across. Another thing you can, it's really easy to see on the bird wings, see those little black spots along their abdomen? Those are called spiracles. And that is how the butterfly breathes. They do not breathe out of their face like we do. They breathe out of their abdomen through those little spiracles, those little round dots. We've also got some great warning colors going on. That bright yellow and black, orange and black, red and black, those are all butterfly code. It says if you eat me, I'll make you throw up. And the way that works is as a caterpillar, poisonous butterflies eat poisonous plants. And they store up those toxins through the pupa stage and into adulthood. And then they end up being a poisonous butterfly. This is another Traxes. This is called the Foxy Traxes. Those great fast-flying butterflies. You can see that on the move. Oh. These little guys, my favorite. Oh, that was the Sarah, kind of a sweet little butterfly. They're both in a genus called Heliconius. This is the long-winged butterfly. Long wings are an exception to that lifespan rule that I talked about. I said that most butterflies live about 2 to 3 weeks in here. These guys will live 6 to 7 months. And that's because they've developed a way to eat pollen as well as nectar. So they get those proteins that are in the pollen, and it extends their lifespan. This one is a female tail spotted. And she's in the swallowtail family. Even though she doesn't have those big droopy tails that we're so used to seeing with swallowtails. A good way to tell a swallowtail is by their flight pattern. When they feed, when they nectar on flowers, they beat their wings furiously like a hummingbird. It's a way to keep their wings and their muscles warm so they can evade predators if they need to evade predators. So, good thing to keep an eye out. They're also usually very frustrating to photographers because they never sit still. This is another one of those swallowtails without prominent tails, like he's bright green, so you're not going to miss him. That's the tail jay. One of only a handful of green species that we get here in the rainforest. This one's the clipper. He's from the Philippines. We have another clipper that looks exactly the same, only where this one is brown, that one's blue. That one's from Malaysia. They're two different subspecies. They were separated by some ocean. And just going to be different colors. Beautiful features. Another clipper. This is another Traxes. This is one of the more striking ones. This is the male flame bordered. You can see where it gets that name. They have an African species. This is the dark blue tiger. This is the monarch relative. And it might be kind of hard to see for those far away from you, but if you look up close, they have a really nice kind of blue tinge, and it's almost transparent. And then get in the sunshine, you can see the like a sky blue coming through the wings. A couple of those in here. And one of our, that was the zebra longwing. That is a longwing species, like I said. Before, it lives long. That one's a very particular kind of longwing. That is the zebra longwing. That's also our state butterfly. So if anyone wants any Florida trivia, your state butterfly is the zebra longwing. So, this one is called the cracker. It is not a Florida native, although that's kind of what its name implies. This is actually called the cracker because it's the only butterfly that makes a noise you can hear. And it makes an electric kind of arcing, crackling sound. And the males do it to other male butterflies that they deem a threat that comes into their little territory. They'll swoop down off of their tree and make this crackling sound out of it. Pretty cool when you hear it. Another clipper. That's another flame border Taraxi. This one, I like this one since our festive butterfly. This is called the autumn leaf. And it's a dead leaf mimic. And it does exactly what it's doing right now, hanging upside down from a branch.
Looks like a dead leaf.
And then it can just, don't eat me. I'm gonna eat that leaf. I'm not a butterfly at all. But when it opens its wings, it's got this lovely pumpkin orange on the inside. So I'll put this one on the tree maybe. These little guys, these are some of our friendliest butterflies. You see these land on people a lot. This is called the great egg fly. It's one of those ones that's good to illustrate that if you discover a butterfly, get to name it. Some people name things, odd things. Great egg fly, I'm not sure where they got that. But anyway, these are neat because when they open their wings, they've got, the males have iridescent blue spots. Depending on where you're sitting in the light, you might not see it at all. And, or if you're in the right light, it's bright purple blue. Like I said, these are the ones that are going to come visit you to see what's going on. And one more gator-colored butterfly, golden.